Hello, my name is Mary,
And I'm James.
and welcome to yet another episode of the Watch That John podcast. You guys have been sticking around for a while now. This is episode, what, like episode 9?
This is episode 9. We're not going to post it in that order,
Oh
but
no, yeah, we are going to we're posting episodes with reckless abandon. So, if the numbers don't make sense, then don't worry about it. Don't worry
don't
about
worry about it. It's the whole journey of the Watch That Joan podcast is just that, a journey.
it. Yeah, you're going to
So the
grow with us, guys. It's a team effort. So,
the team effort. So yeah, we're doing what movie are we doing today, Mary?
today will be reviewing Oppenheimer.
Mm.
Uh, and it makes sense because the last movie that we did was Barbie. And I still, after watching both movies, I still do not see the link between the two movies, other than one is about a lot of women and one is about a lot of men.
They're polar opposites of each other,
Yeah,
and they came out around the same time. So people just said a Heimer, yeah, exactly the same time frame,
yeah.
same Barbie Heimer weekend. So just a hype. I can imagine people going to the theater. You know how we wore all pink. We posted that on Instagram.
What? That's a celebratory moment. Oppenheimer is a very
No,
dark moment in his. What?
no, I'm saying for the
Gonna
Oppenheimer movie,
dress up?
you wear all black.
Oh God, like a few. That still seems celebratory and weird and very strange. But
Yeah,
what
yeah.
if like the real bomb was just like a whole bunch of Barbies just falling from the sky?
Just Barbies falling from the sky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
I don't want to.
nice.
Yeah, that'd be
That'd be
like
nice.
Barbie Fetty.
Barbie Fetty. We shouldn't fight with ammunition. We should fight with Barbies.
For real, just Barbie feel like, oh my god, I got toys, yay! Oh no,
Yeah.
I got the pregnant one.
Ew. I got Alan. Ugh.
I got Alan
I
with the whole
declare war.
time.
But listen, guys, we're gonna do the best we can with this movie. This movie, as you can imagine, is extremely complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of
Yep.
history that we cannot fully grasp. Like when I tell you, I was trying to learn about World War II
Hmm.
in a week. The Philly public education system has failed me. So, listen, we're gonna talk about what we know and try to break it down in the best way that we can.
Yeah, Mary's underselling herself, right? She got a degree from the Pennsylvania State University, right?
Not
So
in history.
not in history, yeah,
I took
but
art history.
took art
But
history.
and yeah, you know what? This is jumping way far ahead. But you know what I found out about Oppenheimer in my research? His
Let's know.
parents were they were like some kind of like real deal art collectors, and they had like original works by like Picasso and
Oh
other
wow.
paintings, like original Picassos. And I remember there was this one scene in the movie where Gene Tadlock and Oppenheimer was sitting down but naked, and how the
Hmm.
way they were posed kind of reminded me of a nude in a sense, like like those nude portraits.
It was
So
kind of artsy. Maybe it was a callback
yeah,
to that because he
yeah,
did come. So Oppenheimer, he did come from a well-to-do family,
hmm,
right? And growing up, he was a physicist, an American physicist. I believe he studied at Harvard, and then he went to Cambridge, and then
didn't he
um,
teach at UC Berkeley or?
yeah, he taught at the University of California after he studied in Europe. He studied. He was a physics, so he studied physics and quantum mechanics. So the
Jesus.
movie is yeah. So that's like some manufacturing. Well, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, and I fantasize about learning about quantum physics and quantum mechanics.
What I don't even know what those words mean. Like what is like I've been hearing it my whole life. I have no idea what quantum physics even is.
Yeah. So the quantum realm, right, or quantum physics is
Quantum
basically
realm, that sounds like a Spider
it's
Verse.
yeah. No, it sounds like the Marvel universe, but no,
Yeah.
quantum physics is essentially how particles, how very small particles from atoms, neutrons, electrons, right? The smallest piece of material to make up the universe, how they interact with each other
Hmm.
and how their physics, the quantum physics, is different than the physics around you and me. And when you get to that small particle size, like that small level,
Like a micro level.
more less than a micro level, like
Ooh.
micro, like
Like a
this.
nano level? Is nano smaller than
Yes,
micro?
yes, nano. Yeah, exactly, like a nano level, right? Like the physics, it just changed and it's weird, and you know what I mean, and it's all nerdy stuff that I love. So
Mm.
that's why I really enjoy
You were
this movie.
very excited for this movie.
I am right because it's
I
a
heard it was 3
combination.
hours long talking about the making of a bomb. I thought it was going to be
Yes.
a Snoresville, but I was pleasantly surprised. I was
Hmm.
pleasantly surprised.
It was. You know what? Also, an interesting thing that I looked up, right, is so when Oppenheimer, when he went to Europe, and
Mm.
remember that scene where he put a poison, an
When he
apple. He took an
poisoned his
apple.
teacher.
Yes, he poisoned his tutor. Apparently, that really happened.
Yeah, yeah, it really happens. And the movie he didn't get caught. In real life, he
Hmm.
got caught and he almost got
He
suspended for it or
exactly.
expelled. He almost got
He
one.
almost got he almost got expelled, but his parents like made it
They
go
smoothed it
away.
over.
They smoothed it over.
So
Yeah.
what did he injected it with what, like potassium cyanide or something like that?
And cyanide is some nasty stuff, yo. It make you like burn from like the inside out or whatever.
You
That's
know
what
there's
like
cyanide in plums.
probably a
I
little
asked
bit.
Google because I wanted to give milkshake some of my plum, and then I was like, "Wait, can cats eat plums?" And they said no, the cyanide can literally kill them. And I was like, "Oh, okay."
I don't even know how a cat could physically eat a plum, but
Yeah.
no one's up here cutting up pieces of plums. So
I had like the plum pit, and she came
oh
over and she
no.
sniffed it, and I was like, "Oh, do you want some?" And I was like, "Wait, this could kill her," so I pulled it away. So yeah, don't try if you could figure out how to. Don't give plums to cats.
No,
People.
I have no idea how they can do that.
But one thing I want
Um,
to know is was there like what was he trying to do? Was he trying to kill his professor or make him like sick, give him
so
the runs
apparently
and
apparently he was troubled, right? So I also saw that he tried to strangle one of his classmates.
no, he
You
tried
know
to
what I mean?
strangle one of his friends because he said he was engaged. Like his friend told him I'm engaged, and then he tried to strangle him.
Yeah, maybe. I guess the maybe you know how like some geniuses struggle with like just basic sanity stuff or whatever.
What do you mean, like
May-
social
Yeah, maybe social,
skills?
or maybe he was a sociopath. I don't know. Like he
I read
did,
it as him kind of be. I feel like they were kind of like working on a lot of projects together.
and he was
And
like stressed.
from what I seen, for what it sounded to me, it sounded like he was like, okay, you're getting engaged. Now you don't have enough time to work with me and make all these scientific breakthroughs. And that got him really mad, so he strangled him.
Mm,
I don't know, but they said he was suffering from like anxiety and depression and a lot of stuff
okay,
like that.
and all these accounts are from historical accounts, and not necessarily from the movie. These scenes that scene did not happen in the movie.
It didn't
Just
happen in the movie.
in the movie after he poisoned his teacher, he just kind of like was able to go up and like throw the apple away and didn't get in trouble. So at
No,
the
what
end,
happened was another man picked up the man who told him.
mm-hmm,
I'm making a whole bunch of jumps here. But apparently, in the first scenes in the movie, guys, we're talking about the movie now, the actual movie. He
yeah,
he's working at this lab. I don't know where, but he's working at this lab and he's not
I'm
doing
pretty sure
well.
it's at Cambridge.
It's at Cambridge. I thought he taught there. He was like a student somewhere. I'm
He
talking
he,
about the
he
dude he tried to poison.
yeah, I think he was at Cambridge on his
That was
postdoc.
Cambridge. Okay.
I think so. I think it was Cambridge as his
I
postdoc,
can, you know what?
or if it wasn't Cambridge, it was Harvard. But either way, get to your point.
Oh
That
wait,
doesn't.
I think it was Harvard. Anyway, so he was somewhere, and apparently Oppenheimer wasn't really good with lab work. Like
He
that
was
wasn't.
clumsy.
Yeah, really clumsy. Didn't follow the procedures, and he didn't enjoy it. And it's strange to me because I assume it's like I don't know a chemist or a physicist like actually getting in the lab and seeing like the culmination of your like hypotheses actually pan out would be the most exciting part. But
Yeah, but he was scary.
then I remember when I took chem and I hated chem lab. Like I liked chemistry, but I freaking hated chem lab. I hated it. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that like he was so bad at like the actual lab work, but he was still such like a brilliant what's the word?
Theorist,
Theorist?
theorist,
Theorist?
theorist. Yeah.
Theory
Bas-
person. A person who makes theories.
Basically, the stuff that he was interested in could not at that time be tested in a laboratory setting, and that's the real reason why he was uninterested.
So you
because
think he
quantum
wasn't?
mechanics,
Okay.
yeah, so quantum mechanics itself, that whole principle, right?
Mm.
That was literally just found with Einstein like 20 years prior. So it was a brand new field, right? It was a brand new idea and concept, right? That everyone, at least in the Europe side, was trying to understand. And he was mostly concerned about how stars died and the concept of a black hole and how that power of the black hole can basically crush atoms and crush particles, right?
Okay, so
And
that explains why in the beginning of the movie, how do I explain it? Like there were always like these scenes of like the stars and
yep,
like
yep,
I
yep.
didn't
Like
know what
the
was going on. I thought that was really I was like I was like this is going to be the whole movie cuz I'm tired of this.
yeah, so it
You know what I
was. I
mean? Where the
think.
screen will turn blue and like it will be
Hmm.
yeah, I was getting tired of that.
So there was one part where after he struggled in his lab,
Mhm.
one of the physicists was like, "Hey, you need to be able to see quantum mechanics. You need to be able to like some scientists can't see it, and I could tell that you can see it." And I think that was the perception of like all those that was the idea, the
Oh, that
concept that
was
they were
like
trying to
the
get.
what's it called? That was them visualizing how the way he
Yes.
saw quantum physics.
Yes, it was
Okay.
visualizing. It was trying to visualize how his brain worked. It was also some type of beautiful mind type stuff. You know,
It did
I
remind
was
me
on
of
the
A
board.
Beautiful Mind. Joe, we be
Yes,
right here because I was like, this is
yes.
giving A Beautiful Mind. And I was wondering, is he going to be like completely crazy at the end too?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it was giving me A Beautiful Mind. And at first I was like, I'm so sick of this. Like, I hope this is not for the entire movie. So when that little thing ended, I was pretty glad about it because I'm like, if it's 3 hours of this, then I'm about to walk out this theater. Like,
Yeah. So what I thought was originally confusing in the movie to me, I guess one before I jump into that. So a little background about Oppenheimer too. So he was a U.S. Jewish citizen. He was born in New York, right? And when he went over to, like I said, we went over to Europe to study quantum mechanics. While he was there,
quantum
he met
physics or quantum mechanics?
quantum mechanics. Is quantum physics is the general phrase. Quantum mechanics
Is this
is
specialized thing
is a
what he was doing?
specialized in quantum physics. They're mostly interchangeable, to be honest with you.
Mm.
So they're pretty interchangeable. But yeah, while he was in Germany, he met a bunch of scientists along the way, right? And there was one scene where he went and he had to teach. He had to basically teach a lecture in Dutch. And apparently,
Oh
this
yeah,
man learned Dutch in 6 weeks
yeah.
and was able to talk about
Give a
quantum
lecture,
mechanics
right?
in Dutch. And when he said that, I'm like, dag, I can't even speak Spanish. And I've been married to my wife together with my wife for like, I'm not gonna say the number of years right now,
Yeah,
but
you don't
since
want to embarrass
2010.
yourself that
Yeah,
much.
since 2010. So it's pretty bad. And this nigga learned it in six
Like
weeks. And
I don't even
then,
think James can put together a sentence in Spanish. Can you say hi? My name is James, and your
hola,
age?
me llamo James.
Wow.
Um, I
Don't you
got
say
you.
don't you translate it to
Tango.
I
Yeah.
have this many
Yep.
years.
Yes. Yes. Tango. 33 años.
You're
Por favor.
33?
Oh,
Right, you
whoa.
are
I am
not
not
33. What
33.
are you talking
Treinta
about?
uno. You're right. Treinta uno. I don't know how old I am.
Oh, you're a mess. But
Hmm.
I also read that when Oppenheimer was like 12 or so, he gave
Hmm.
lectures too.
Yeah, he was a genius. Just straight
Mm-hmm.
up.
A
He was a
straight
straight up
prodigy.
genius. Straight prodigy. And then, so when he came back after his education in Europe, then, like you said earlier, he came and basically studied.
Either
No, not
in
studied.
Harvard or University of
No,
California.
he was at the University of California,
Okay.
and he brought quantum mechanics there to
Okay.
University of California. But in the movie, if you guys remember the movie, it changed time zones, like the time, not time zones, time
It had a time jump.
settings. Yeah, time settings. Yeah, so the black and white time settings felt like it was in the present tense, and the colored time settings was in the past. But there was also some color time settings where you couldn't, like, because first they showed him actually meeting Remember Lewis Strauss, who was the who was
Louis Strauss, is that the man played by Robert Downey Jr.? Okay.
yes. Yes. So he met him, I think in black and white, but then he talked to Einstein in color. Right?
Yeah,
Remember he had the
so supposedly, what I read about Christopher Nolan, he kind of likes to do things like that where he plays around with time.
Mhm.
And that makes sense because you ever seen the movie Memento?
I did see Memento. When he writes all the notes and stuff on his arm and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Yeah, no, that was a brilliant
Inception
movie.
kind of deals with time a little bit.
Inception is trippy. He did Inception too. I
He did
forgot about
Inception.
that.
I got a list of
Oh.
like, he did Batman Begins,
Mm,
The Dark Knight Rises, Inception, Memento, Interstellar,
wow.
Dunkirk, uh, and yeah, when I did a quick research, well, quick like a quick Google search on like what kind of movies Christopher Nolan likes to do, they said he does like to kind of play around with time and kind of like. So I feel like it was kind of supposed to be confusing because I was confused too. I was like, I don't know exactly the
Mhm.
time frames that's happening. The only thing I knew was that I knew the timeline of the main plot,
Yeah.
the plot of the
Around the world
Manhattan
roll.
Project and the bombing. I
Yep.
knew that, but that took me a while to figure out as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. When it turned to black and white and you saw like Robert Downey Jr.'s character, and also when you seen Oppenheimer in color in that fake hearing with those people, I don't know their name. It was
Yeah.
kind of hard to
With
figure
the
out
with
what
the
the
with the
timeline was.
with the the secret clearance council, the special
Yeah,
committee
yeah,
to try to take away his clearance.
yeah.
So apparently, um, the director
Christopher
said
Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, yeah, he actually commented before the movie released, saying that the black and white scenes were more factual and objective,
Hmm.
right? So basically, were more historical based.
Mm.
From I guess a different perspective. Some people argue that it's from Lewis Strauss' perspective, um,
Perspective.
perspective, but the colored scenes were from Oppenheimer's perspective.
Oh,
Which was more like a subjective, and they took a little more liberties in the colored scenes versus the black and white scenes.
hmm. One thing I didn't understand about Louis Strauss was he a scientist as well?
No, he wasn't. So he was essentially,
They said
um,
he was a high ranking member of the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission,
yes,
and I'm like, that's given scientists. Like, what are you doing if you're not a scientist?
exactly. He wasn't. He was apparently a trustee for the Institute of Advanced Study. So it was his responsibility to get scientists to study on the nuclear program,
So
right?
he
He
was
was
like a
like a
recruiter
yes, he was like a curator of scientists, if that makes
for the
sense,
Manhattan Project.
for the United States government.
Oh,
And I think his involvement came after the Manhattan Project,
but
right?
that's
So
kind of
after
weird. How do you curate scientists if you're not a scientist? What do you know makes a good scientist?
that's why no one respected him,
Oh,
just
oh,
because of
so
that.
yo, okay, okay. I do want to talk about that whole thing where Oppenheimer kind of humiliated him about isotopes.
Before we get there,
Yeah, yeah.
let's
That's what
let's
I
talk
mean.
about the
That's yeah.
yes, we'll get there. But let's talk about the conversation he first had with Einstein, right? So when I saw that they had a depiction of Albert Einstein, I got like giddish. I was
Yeah, I
excited.
got really excited. It's like
Yeah.
you know, I don't think I've ever seen a movie about Albert Einstein. I know there's definitely plenty, but he
Mm-hmm.
actually has dialogue. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I like the fact that he isn't the main character because that gives him a sort of like reverence in the movie. Everyone
Exactly.
goes like, "Oh my God, that's freaking Albert Einstein!"
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
It's a theory of relativity. That's why all the fundamentals that this movie was built on, Einstein discovered like 30 years earlier.
Okay, so yeah. All right, continue your
So
thought.
so 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 yeah, when so him and Einstein, right? So in the black and white scene, so current time, objective sign, right? Einstein and Oppenheimer were having a conversation,
Oh, they're having a conversation
and
by that pond.
by the pond, and we can't hear it. The
Yeah, we don't
viewer
know
can't
what's being
hear it,
said.
and we just see Strauss, right, in the room looking at Einstein and watching them talk.
Hmm.
So then Oppenheimer talks to him briefly. Strauss walk out, says hi to Einstein. Einstein completely ignores him and walks away.
Yeah, he gives him the cold shoulder.
So he gives him a cold shoulder, and Oppenheimer doesn't explain what they talked about.
Hmm.
So from there, that man was like scorn, right? He
What
was
does your shirt
upset.
say?
It says I heart math.
Oh, that's appropriate.
Yeah, it is appropriate.
Oppenheimer didn't like math,
He
just like
liked math.
Einstein.
Yeah, no, you're right. They were very good at it, but no, that wasn't the computational part. Wasn't his favorite part. It was the
Yeah,
theory.
I heard that Einstein got bad grades in math for a while when he was
Hmm,
younger.
I believe it.
Well, that's a good shirt you're wearing though. It's,
Yeah, I heard.
but yeah, I think that did sour uh Louis Strauss to Oppenheimer even more because he's like, what are you saying to him? You know what I mean? It's like
Exactly.
I would feel some type of way too. It's like, did you turn him against me?
Exactly.
So
And the reason being is because, like you said, how can someone curate and find sciences for this advanced research institute, right? Um, for advanced study institute, but you're not a scientist yourself.
they're
You know
not.
what I mean?
Even
And
when we
that's
think about what was Matt Damon's character's name? His name was Leslie something.
yeah, he was
Leslie
General Leslie
Groves.
Groves. Yep, Lindsay
He went to
Groves.
MIT.
He did. He was an engineer from MIT, which I was like, that's freaking dope.
Yeah.
That was like my dream school. As soon as I heard about it, you know what I mean? Like,
Matt Damon's
uh,
looking kind of hefty. He was looking like Fat Damon in that movie.
well, he was playing the older general. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Yeah.
he had to fit into the role.
Yeah.
He had to fit into the role. But what I thought was most interesting about the beginning, though, right, is that Oppenheimer was kind of a pimp.
Listen, this man ain't have no like legitimate relationship with women. He was always stealing somebody's wife or cheating
Hmm.
on his. Like, let me see. He slept with his friend's wife.
Yeah,
He
that he met at the party. You mean?
it, it, I don't remember at the end of the movie there was this woman that he was kind of flirting with
I
after he
do
was already
remember that.
married to Kitty.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was married to Kitty.
It's not
He did.
confirmed, but it's heavily implied that he
He
slept with his friend's
w-
wife and then they stopped
they,
talking.
remember it was like if someone was like, "Oh," like at the end of the movie during the trial, it was like, "Oh yeah, like he goes talk bad about you because he slept with because you he think you slept with your wife." He was like, he never found out about that.
Yeah,
That and that was
yeah,
gangster. That was
yeah,
gangster.
yeah. This apparently, listen, I kind of get it though. I looked at pictures of Oppenheimer. He wasn't bad looking. He wasn't a bad
No, he
looking
wasn't.
man. And I imagine that he kind of had a sort of charisma to him, and plus he's a genius. So I can
Yeah.
kind of see women be like, let me try this out. I can see it. But it's like, dang, like you was sleeping with Gene Tadlock and he was played by Florence Pugh. And I have to say, I'm so tired of Florence Pugh. That woman's in everything nowadays. Like,
Is she? I couldn't recognize her much. What was this? Was
okay, Midsummer,
mm.
the Black Widow movie. She was Black Widow's sister.
Oh, I never seen either one of those.
Oh, really?
I skipped the Black Widow movie.
Let me see. What have you seen? Don't Worry, Darling.
Mm-mm. We should go through a list and watch at least watch the movies we reference
I've seen
because
all the movies. I've seen all the
yeah.
movies that I'm listing.
Hmm.
She's
I
in.
just
I
haven't.
haven't. She's in the newest Dune movie. She's in that too.
Okay, okay.
And now she's
Haven't
in
seen that
this.
either.
It's like every time I turn around, Florence Pugh is in something, and
Mm.
I'm like, ugh. Yeah, not to have anything against her, but it's like, goddamn, like
She's
I
a,
can't
she's a
escape Florence Pugh.
she's a I thought she was a good actor. She's good looking. So
Yeah, of course,
what
that's why people
happens?
like her, and she always got her tits out. Like
Mm.
that is not the first time I've seen Florence Pugh titties, but yeah, he gets. Listen,
They called him a
he has
womanizer.
chemistry with a lot of
Yes.
girls.
They called him a womanizer, and one of the biggest things against him is that like Jean
Jean
Tatlock,
Tatlock.
right? She was affiliated with the Communist Party,
She was. And he
right?
liked commie women. He liked
He
commie women.
he did. That was his thing. What his philosophy was, and essentially that he liked exploring different political ideas, right? He even explained that when he had like a session to unionize the teachers and the grad students at the University of California, right? His thing was, if I'm to study the fringe of theory for science and physics, why should we also study the fringe of politics? And at that time, communism was the hot thing for like super left like
I think he
idealism.
was a communist. This all seems a little bit too coincidental. Your side piece was a communist. Your wife was a
Mhm.
communist. Your brother was a
That's
communist. Like you
hmm
had, didn't he? In the Manhattan Project, didn't he like? No, no, not that. He had students who were communists, and like
yeah.
he. I'm not saying birds of a feather flock together because I feel like the people you hang out with, you can be very different from them. But I'm like, come on now. Like I feel like you're a little bit of a communist, but
Yeah, I feel like he wasn't, even if he wasn't a communist himself, he was a sympathizer, right?
mm.
And I think that he basically underestimated because once again, the dude, he's a genius, right? He knows that what he's studying, and even like when nuclear fission, right? When that's a separation of atoms. When nuclear
So
fission
that's when
was
a
discovered.
single atom splits.
Yes.
Okay.
Not yes. That's when a nucleus of an atom splits, right? And they tested in the lab. I think Germany found it first, maybe somewhere I forgot. Came out an article that fission was possible, and as soon as they came out with it was possible, they knew that that means that a bomb could be made,
Okay.
right?
They said that yeah, in December of 1938, nuclear fission is discovered.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know who discovered it first. That was okay. They said that yeah. So that's what I was wondering too. They said that nuclear fission has been discovered, but I don't remember if it was it discovered by the Russians or by the Nazi Party.
It was discovered either by someone we didn't want to find first.
Yeah,
Let's
because
just
I'm
say
like the whole sort of arms race to get the bomb done started from this, from learning
started
that
from that, from
nuclear
learning that
fission. So it's like,
was
but who
possible.
had it? Like who, you know what I mean?
They just tested it in a lab, right? There's a way to use lasers or something like that, and the way the laser refracts, it tells you that like a particle separated from the bunch or something like that. There was some sort of test that they was able to figure out. I probably goofed that up, so any real physicists can just make fun of me later.
Okay, they said that
But
nuclear fission was discovered in December 1938 by chemists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann.
hmm?
And
Hmm.
yeah, and a few other people. But I don't know who these people. They said that it was at the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Chemistry in Berlin.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it was in Berlin. So it was in Germany.
Oh, Wikipedia, y'all. They reported their findings by mail, who a few months later. Okay. Okay, so the Nazis aren't the one who discovered it.
No, no, no,
Okay,
they
that's
weren't.
what I thought.
So,
Cause
so this was still the rise of the Nazi Party,
okay,
right? Towards the late 30s, right? So before they took him to power, um,
pause for 1 second. I got to charge my laptop.
okay,
Could you? All right, checking
okay,
in.
yes, actually, I'll take that back. Nazis did rule Germany in 1938. They
Okay.
were in power, but I think
Oh,
it
so
was
that's why it was a big deal. If scientists in
yes,
Berlin. Okay.
yes, they were in
Okay.
power. My bad. They were
Yeah.
in power apparently
Listen,
from
we gave
1933
y'all we gave
to
y'all the disclaimer.
1945.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, it's fine. We're like we said, we fact check here, right?
Mhm.
We're going up and fact check. But yeah, so from 1933 to 1945,
Okay, so I
33,
totally
45.
get how if you find out that nuclear fission has been discovered in Berlin, it's like, oh snap, we got to get on it. Like we got to start
Yes,
making our own things because the Nazis, the Nazis going Nazi,
the Nazis are going to
the
Nazi,
Nazi
yo.
going Nazi. They are some
They
hateful people.
yes, they don't care, yo. Like
Yeah.
they would just bombed. I'm about to say indiscriminatorily, but they would have bombed very discriminatorily. Like
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So
so yeah. So when that happened and they realized that a bomb could be made, that's like you said, that's what started the arms race, and that's what started um basically the Secret Service, or not the Secret Service.
the
That
secret
started
projects.
the Secret Manhattan Project to start.
Mhm.
So what I was getting at with Oppenheimer and his communist affiliation, I think it was a part ego and part naivety that thought that he can have friends and literally sleep with communists, but still work on a top secret American project.
Why do you think ego has to do with it? How did you think something like that would stroke his ego?
Well, ego as in he's untouchable. Nothing he does in his private life matters to his work.
Oh, so
That sort of thing.
he doesn't live by the rules of everyone else because he's Oppenheimer. He's a genius.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm, he fucked
And
around and found out.
he found out, right? And that's why as soon as he started working on a project, they start having spies outside his house. They start tapping his phones whenever he handed out with Gene Tatlock, like they started actually looking into him because the risk was, even though Russia at this time was our ally, right? Russia um was our ally in World War II. They were communists,
Hmm.
and they were afraid that if you're like loyal to communists, you could give this weapon to Russia, and we was at war with Germany, but we only trust Russia as far as we could throw them,
Hmm.
and Russia too big to throw. Let's just say that.
And look at them now. Wow.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, this whole start of the whole race of the nuclear war, right? It's kicked off the Cold War, the
Hmm.
longest war you can argue in American history that lasted like 40 years.
40 years.
It wasn't like an arms race, right? It
Yeah.
lasted basically from the end, from like people say the Cold War started as soon as they dropped the bomb until the Berlin Wall fell in like the 1990s,
Mm.
right? So like 40 to 50 years of just us racing to build as much nuclear weapons as possible and just waiting to hit waiting for mutually like it says mutually assured or totally, it's like totally mutual destruction or something like that. Basically, if I hit the
Total
bomb,
mutual destruction. So they both want to completely destroy each other.
no, that was the deterrent. Like basically America and Russia now, even back in the 40s and 50s and the 60s when they got became a nuclear power, it was basically like if you hit us with a nuke, we could hit you with a nuke, and everything is to be destroyed.
Mm.
So, yeah, this is a very tense time period in history, and I think the movie did a really good job of um
Capturing that.
capturing it. Yeah, and I think they showed um the building of the Manhattan Project and them going to Los Alamos, New
Hmm.
Mexico.
Does that mean the Alamo?
Probably, I guess. I don't know.
I'm like
You
Los
know,
Alamos. I'm
I
like,
could barely say my birthday, Mary.
your
How
name
old
and
I
age. I was like Los
am.
Alamo. I was like, is that the Alamo? It's like, no, the Alamo is like what, in Texas somewhere?
Yeah, but it's also Los Alamos, so the Alamos. I don't know.
Yeah. What does that
And then New
mean?
Mexico. Google.
I don't know
Have
what it
DQ
means.
Google.
I'm not doing that. But yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I thought that was awesome, right?
Yeah,
Because
but
he
my
went.
thing is, they need to get their shit together from the very beginning and figure out these sort of clearances. Because when they said in the movie that Oppenheimer was giving the scientists' wives jobs, I'm like, what? Where's the confidentiality? You can't just
Yeah,
have housewives working on sensitive information like this, sensitive, like
yeah,
life or death information like this. So I understand
yeah,
why Oppenheimer got his quote unquote hearing, because it's like, dog, like you literally, there's just so many people coming onto the project. Like I
yeah.
remember this one scene, Leslie Groves told this man, I don't know his name, there's like 50 billion people in this cast, y'all. There's so many white men in this movie. But pretty much it was the man that Oppenheimer used to teach with before the Manhattan Project started. He was the one who told Oppenheimer, hey, don't politicize the classroom.
I remember that guy. Yep, yep, yep.
To later on find out that he was also as political as Oppenheimer. He just kind of he was like an Aaron Burr. He didn't make it public. He kind of kept it to
Oh,
himself.
okay. He
Because
kept it to
remember,
yeah,
yeah, he was like, you don't think I'm this, you don't think I feel the same way about the same way you do, but if you're putting it out here, people are going to get you. You have to have discretion about these sort of
get the
things.
discussion. Yeah,
So yeah, Leslie Groves told him pretty much to not reveal too much to everybody who was in the Manhattan Project. I don't know
hmm
exactly what, but he went on and did that exact same thing. It's like they had no regard for the military aspect of the Manhattan Project. And I feel like there was like a weird tension between the scientists and the military men, because remember at one point, I think it was Teller. He's the one who proposed the hydrogen bomb, right?
yeah, yep, yep. He
I
did.
call him eyeliner because the man looks like he has on like 5 layers of eyeliner. The dude with the accent, dark
Yep,
hair, and
yep,
like,
yep, yep.
so he
I
told
remember him.
Oppenheimer at one point, he was like, "You're a politician now. You're not even a scientist."
Yeah,
So I do feel like I'm like y'all was kind of walling, in Los Alamos because it's like there was no discretion, like sensitive information. So when later on in the movie, when Strauss was like, there was a spy in Los Alamos, I was like, there definitely was a spy, probably multiple
exactly.
spies. Like,
There
so.
there were multiple spies there, and the,
Mm,
the thing is that this was probably thinking about it, right? Obviously, America's always have secrets, right? Every country has secrets, and you have to make sure that there's a clearance process that was established. But this is probably the
it
most.
wasn't. It
No,
wasn't.
I'm saying it was
No.
established softly, right? But
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
saying this situation
I don't think they understood the gravity of it when they started it
exactly.
and how tight they
Yep.
had to be. You know.
Exactly how tight they had to be, right?
Yeah.
And I think also they had to trust everyone because they're trying to beat the Nazis to building a bomb
Mhm.
and beat Russia to building a bomb. They
Mhm.
wanted to be the first.
Mhm.
And if they weren't the first, most likely we won't be speaking English right now.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like we would be speaking a different language right now. I can't tell you that if we weren't the first ones to drop it.
Yeah.
So at least the first one to build it.
Okay, where are we in the movie now, plot wise? We're at
So
the
so right
Manhattan
now
Project.
we're near Los Alamos. Los. You say it.
Los Alamos.
Yes, they're in Los Alamos, New Mexico, and essentially the rest of the this part of the movie they're just building the bomb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they actually get the bomb itself, it's that scene with them actually building the tower. So I guess before that, right? One, they built two bombs.
Little Boy and
Technically,
Fat Man.
yes, technically they built three.
3.
They
Oh,
built
the one
Little
that they
Boy.
tested.
Yep. So Trinity. So the one they tested was called
Trinity,
Trinity.
yeah.
Yep.
It. Well, continue what you're saying, then I'll say something else.
No, you can go for it.
I thought it was interesting that they named the bomb they tested Trinity. They said, the 3-person Godhead. And then the testing almost didn't go off in time because there was extremely heavy rainfall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I kind of saw that as like a forewarning of God saying, no, you guys shouldn't be good doing this. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
instead, you went ahead against the will of God. And now you have this, Oppenheimer has this blood on his
The power.
hands, as he calls it.
Yeah, but also they said that he stole the power from the gods,
Mm.
and actually this movie is based off a book, right? And that book is called, um, the book is called American Prometheus: The Triumph and Tragedy
Oh,
of J.
I did see
Robert
that at the
Oppenheimer.
credit. I did see at the credit. It's like, yeah, based off the novel American Prometheus. I did see that at the
And
credits.
Prometheus, if you remember from the mythology, right? He actually stole fire from the gods and brought it to mankind, right? So that's where the basis of the book title was. But like, yeah, I agree. Them like them pouring down, raining, and having to push back the test date, right? Or at least push back a few hours. I think that's all like premonition that
Yeah.
the power that you have that you unlocked is not meant for men to have.
It's not meant for men to have. And now that you have this power, Oppenheimer, that Sanskrit phrase come to mind from the Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've become death, the destroyer of worlds, because it's like you are no longer a man because you
Yeah.
possess this power. Now you have become death, the destroyer of worlds. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And the same thing, what I heard? I was watching this channel on YouTube called the Infographic Show.
Hmm.
And apparently when the Enola Gay, that is,
That's the plane, the B-29.
yes, that's the plane that dropped, what was it, Little Boy? That dropped the
Little
first
boy.
bomb.
It dropped the little boy. Yep.
Dropped
Yep.
Little Boy. Supposedly, the first target for Little Boy was like a sort of like military manufacturing building
Mm-hmm.
in Hiroshima. But because of all the immense cloud, no, I may be getting this wrong. But the intended target, um, originally, the the bomb couldn't be dropped on the target because there was so much cloud cover during that time when
Mhm.
the U.S. wanted to bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So
Mhm.
it was like the cloud cover literally stopped them from bombing when it wanted to bomb. And it also seemed like another thing where like God is stepping in, you know what I mean? And like trying to
Yeah.
like, so I thought that was interesting. But
No, actually, I remember hearing about that too. That they almost aborted the whole mission, like the
yeah,
last minute, they dropped it.
they found
You know.
something. Yeah, they were running low on gas. They said they were circling and then Enola gave her like
Mhm.
45 minutes and
Yep.
they had to make a decision.
Yep. And they decided to drop it.
Yeah.
So, for the test, the Trinity test that they actually pulled off and everything, right? Um, that was a real bomb they set off in the movie, not a nuclear, but
Oh,
they send off they set an actual bomb. That was not CGI. That was an actual bomb that they
the
dropped from the tower.
ambition.
Yes, and sent it off and recorded it. To be honest with you, I was kind of disappointed it was muted. I was a little disappointed
Okay,
that there
you
was
mean
no
that
sound
first, yeah,
when
with the blaring white light comes and it's like mute for
yes,
a second. Yeah.
and then like I wanted to mute, right, like just silent, and then I just wanted to
Was you
the
wanted like a swell?
I wanted the shock wave to come and like feel it in my chest when I sat
You
in the
wanted your
seat. You know,
eardrums to burst,
it's like once again I help build fighter jets for a living, right? So like whenever the
So
afterburner and the
violent.
thrust that you go and you feel it, it's like you can feel it in your heart after you said it
And you
like at
said
an
your
air
nether
show or something.
reasons during the
Your
Barbie
nether
episode.
yeah, your nether regions, right? And that's what I wanted, but it
Wow.
was just silent. But it was beautiful.
I
It
was on
was
the edge of my
beautiful.
seat during that countdown.
Yo, it was
I was actually surprised how like nervous I was. I was like biting my nails, like, oh, this is about to happen.
yeah, and the Trinity was dropped on July 16th, 1945.
You said it was
They
beautiful.
I thought just the imagery was of it was beautiful. Just how the way it looked, beautiful and chaos,
The
just the fire.
huge ball of fire. Are
Yeah,
you
it just
deaf?
kind of
Have you become deaf as well watching this movie?
basically just I don't know. It just it looks crazy. And they said that the mushroom cloud raised higher than Mount Everest. That's how big that bomb was,
That
right?
makes me
It
very
raised
sad.
yeah, it does, right? It just like higher than Mount Everest. And the thing about also this theory, right? They had all these calculations of how to build a bomb faster, and like you said, they talked about building the bomb. Should it be out of plutonium? Should it be after uranium 235? Should it be made after hydrogen?
Yeah. Okay.
And
Okay. Okay. Well, continue your thought. Then I'm a double back to that.
okay, so then when they went and did the calculations, and Oppenheimer actually found Einstein and showed him that they were afraid. So when the basically when the nuclear reaction happens and the explosion happens, right? Basically, you have like a nucleus of an atom, right? So you have the center of the atom, and you have all the electrons around the atom, right? And with the explosion, basically electrons, the nucleus of the atom spread, like it like expands, and then they go and basically make another cluster and expand and make another cluster, and that chain reaction
Sounds like
happens.
cancer.
Well, you talk about how cells expanded
Oh, see,
and
I don't know
everything.
nothing about nothing, y'all.
No, I'm saying it's just it causes a chain reaction,
Right.
and that's what make the blast more and more powerful. And they did the theory in the math, and he said that you could generate a chain reaction that actually actively reacts with the atmosphere
And destroys the entire
and
world.
destroys the entire to set the atmosphere across the entire world on fire. And they sat there and it was like there's a possibility that we can literally destroy the world on this test. Not when we drop it on
Yeah.
adversaries, this test. We could turn it off, the explosion starts and never stops. And that got me like, my God,
Hold on for one
that's
second.
terrifying. My
Yeah,
God, that is
yeah. I
terrifying.
don't think I got that in the theater because I don't understand things without subtitles. But when I
Yeah.
went back to kind of review the movie and I saw that, I was like, oh, that's what he was talking to Einstein about in the woods.
Yes.
Yeah.
He just showed him, and I thought it was like a G, right? He just showed him a hand
Just
calculation
like,
on a
yeah, just
napkin.
slid him a piece of paper. Like, we're not
Yep.
talking about the fate of humanity.
And the thing is, right? The thing is, he was right,
Oppenheimer
right?
was right.
the chain reaction of that bomb going off, right? It didn't engulf the atmosphere, right? But that chain reaction to build bigger and more complicated and more heavy and more thermonuclear weapons is going to ultimately, I believe, going to destroy the world. That chain reaction is going to eventually destroy the world. We're
Womp
humans,
womp womp.
right? We are, right? Eventually, it's gonna. Well, you say womp womp womp. You disagree?
No, I'm agreeing with you though. We're
Oh
this is it. We done fucked it up for everybody.
yeah.
That's it. You know,
Exactly.
we won
Like
the battle, but did we win the war?
we lost the war. Yeah.
Like,
Maybe
so
maybe like 100 years or so. It just takes one madman with a button, with a football,
yeah. So my
the
thing is,
nuclear football.
why was why was Oppenheimer so against the hydrogen bomb?
So he was against the hydrogen bomb because it was just too powerful. I think. Right. This is what got me. What kind of frustrated me in the whole process. So they showed a black and white scene where Strauss and Oppenheimer and a bunch of other scientists are talking about target potential, and they're
When
trying
they're
to
at
pick
that
cities.
dinner?
We're at that dinner. Yes, they're
Okay.
trying to pick a city, and they're like, that city is too small, meaning that they was going to wipe the city off the map. And he said a hydrogen bomb will be too powerful and would wipe the city off. It would basically, it was too much. They
What they
would,
were talking about? I remember they were like, they didn't want to bomb Kyoto because the historical significance was that city or was it Kyushu?
well, that was a different scene too, right? They were trying
Oh,
to identify it, but they just had a map. They were going around,
okay.
and Oppenheimer didn't want to use a hydrogen bomb because he thought basically it was just too much. It was the power of it was just too much,
Because
right?
how the way that it was, I don't know if it was Strauss or if it was, let me see if I can find this man's name during that the clearance sort of trial. What was the
The true
man?
clearance round. Oh, that was
Yeah.
the main guy. Yeah, yeah. He
He's
was
on winning time. What's his name on the
yeah, he's
video?
on winning time. His name is Roger Rob. Roger Rob.
Roger.
Rob. He was the main interrogator, and his name is Jason Clark. He plays on winning time, like you said. Roger
That's the
Rob.
actor's name, Jason Clark.
Yes, the guy's name in the movie. He was portraying Roger Rob.
Roger Rob. Okay, Roger Rob made it seem like that the only reason why Oppenheimer didn't want to use the hydrogen bomb was because he didn't think of it first. And that
Mm,
he thought of the atomic bomb.
yeah.
And that's how I saw it. Like he didn't want to work with the hydrogen bomb because he wouldn't get the glory of that idea, so he didn't want to do it. But am I seeing that wrong or
Um.
cuz I thought they would want something more powerful. So I'm like I thought that was going to happen. I thought eventually they'll be like, "Oh, forget that
Yeah.
atomic bomb. We're
They
going to go with a hydrogen bomb."
they said a hydrogen bomb could be up to 1,000 times more powerful than an atomic bomb.
Oh,
So a
Jesus.
hydrogen bomb and atomic bomb are both types of nuclear weapons,
Okay.
but their two devices are different from each other, right? It says in a nutshell, an atomic bomb is a fission device, while a hydrogen bomb uses fission to power a fusion reaction. In other words, an atomic bomb can be used as a trigger for a hydrogen
Right.
bomb.
Right.
So
Oh,
the
that's
atomic
freaking
bomb,
crazy.
yes,
It's like the gunpowder is the
is the
atomic bomb
detonator.
for a bigger.
Yes,
That's it's so scary out here, y'all.
yes.
Yo, we need like the UN to make a worldwide peace treaty that we can't do this no more. It's not worth it because
They did. They did. They did a worldwide peace treaty to stop even nuclear testing because they were testing like after this, like in the 50s and 60s, they were just testing bombs in like
willy
random
nilly.
places from Kazakhstan to like this beautiful island off the coast of Asia to like they were testing bombs in like
And what
south of
environmental impact is that having on the
is
environment
that
too? Like
that's
that's
what
crazy.
that's why they stopped it, right? They said that they dropped one bomb that was so big in Kazakhstan that you can see it from like 2,000 kilometers away or something like that, right?
Mm.
It would just they signed a treaty to basically stop testing it. I think in maybe the 50s or the 60s.
Okay,
So they
I did
did.
hear that Oppenheimer was a part of that too, trying to
Yes,
pretty
he
much come
wanted
up
to
with ethical ways to use these weapons of severe mass destruction.
Yeah, he was trying to gear America from turning from nuclear weapons to nuclear energy, right? Nuclear power plants, right? And a lot of our energy right now is run on nuclear energy, right? And not necessarily just for destruction, for degeneration, you know. So, yeah, after after the bomb Trinity was successful, right? Um,
Oh, let's talk about some lighter topics in the movie. Uh,
okay.
I don't know what, but I was just thinking about why do you think that this gonna sound crazy, but why do you think his wife uh what's her name? They called her Kitty. Why do you think she was an
Yeah, Kitty.
alcoholic?
So that's hilarious. Remember that scene where he came home and like the baby was just crying. He's like, "Go
Hmm.
to the baby. I've been going to her all day,"
All day. But I
and he
get
just
it
took it
though.
and dropped it off at his British communist friend's house to watch him for like a little
See,
bit.
you're
You know what
indoctrinating your children to be communists as
I
well.
mean?
Oppenheimer was a
Exactly.
communist. It's okay. It's
It's-
okay.
but yeah, I don't know. They didn't really explain that much.
Mm.
They just explained that she was just troubled, and their relationship was terrible, and they cheated on each other. But at the end, she still rode for him,
She
and like,
cheated on him.
no, he well,
He cheated on her.
he cheated on her,
Yeah.
and all she and what she did by the time it was in Los Alamos was just have what another kid or two, I guess.
I think he likes depressed women because Jean Tatlock took her own life.
Yeah, and he was depressed himself, probably, right? He
Yeah,
was
they
at least
said. Yeah.
he was haunted. That's a
Mm.
better. That's probably a better
No, but
term.
before even the bombings began, they said that he dealt with depression and anxiety. You know, I
Hmm.
feel like there's something wrong. 'Cause like I said, you're poisoning your teachers and strangling your friends, and
That's not normal. And building nuclear weapons, there's nothing wrong.
mm,
There's nothing normal about you.
yeah,
Nothing normal about you.
yeah.
How do you think about the scientist? So a lot of scientists he recruited was Jewish, right? And the reason a lot of people say the reason why we was able to beat Nazi the Nazis from building the atomic weapon was because of anti-Semitism. That
Because of
Hitler,
anti-Semitism
yes,
on
because
our ends.
Hitler, no, 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 no,
Oh,
because Hitler didn't want originally Jews to work on his projects. So he lost on that
wow.
talent,
See what you get
right?
for for being hateful. You literally shoot
Exactly.
yourself in the foot. You're
Yes,
so
because of
fucking
that.
stupid. Like,
It's exactly, right?
wow.
And basically the top but one of his top scientists, Heisenberg, I think he may or may not be Jewish. I don't know.
I heard,
But
yeah, Heisenberg. Heisenberg. See, it sounds German to me, so I'm
it
not
is German.
sure. Yeah,
I
I'm
said
not.
Jewish, but you could be
Yeah,
Jewish
it's
or
like I'm not
German.
sure who's because Oppenheimer. So I don't know. Listen, I was like, that sounds German. Like,
Yeah, I originally thought he was from Germany, and I realized he was a Jewish kid from New York,
but
New York City.
yeah, Heisenberg was working with the Nazis. Correct.
Yeah, he was working for the Nazis. He was.
Okay, Werner Heisenberg. Um, let's see. Was
Yeah,
a
he was a.
German theoretical physicist and one of the main
Mhm.
pioneers of the theory of quantum mechanics.
Yes, yes, he was. And Oppenheimer actually studied with him in Germany. He at least went to one of his lectures, as the movie
So
alluded to.
did he ever work with the Nazis? Did we make that up?
No, he did. He did. Heisenberg did work for the Nazis.
And then he
So
turned a new leaf.
Oppenheimer, no, he just worked for the Nazis. He didn't turn a new leaf. They just didn't win.
So why was Oppenheimer and him working together? They were cool.
No, beforehand, before he returned, he went with the Nazis. When he was over in
That's
Europe for
so
school.
awkward. We're working together, and a few years later, you're a part of the Nazi party. It's like when
Yeah.
you log on to Facebook and see that like some of your friends from high schools are now Trump supporters. It's like, dang, we ate lunch
Dang.
together every day.
We ate lunch together. Yeah. But Trump supporters and Nazi party not equal, but is the same. Uh,
Yeah,
I
it's
get your
different.
sentiments. It's different. It's different. But yeah. So what? How do you think? Right? Do you think if you were in that position, if you was in Oppenheimer's position or one of the scientists, right, that you could work on this project, and would that go against your ethics? How would you justify the ethics of that?
Listen, I think it will definitely have a heavy burden on my
Mm-hmm.
morality, but I think I still will work on the project as well because just being a part of something that big and working on something that will literally be the the culmination of everything that I worked for and everything that I studied, I think I would do it too.
Okay, so you would
Especially
so
since it's not something that has been done before, so I don't fully I realize it, but it's a little different knowing the impact of something and seeing the impact of something, really seeing it.
yeah.
So I honestly I can't say that I'm such on a moral high ground that I would have been like, no. I feel like I would have kept I feel like I would have kept going. Lord forgive me, honestly.
So what have I? All
Yeah.
right, and I think the ambition part of it is true, but also at the same time, someone else would have did it, right? Like Germany or Russia or someone else would have be able to come up with this nuclear weapon faster, and that would have been devastating for our national security, right? So because of that, I think that's what would have motivated me is the competition of it, right? Like the life or death competition. That if we don't do this, our enemies will, you know.
So what I
Um,
heard was in the movie they said that after Hitler uh surrendered because he killed himself, right?
Hitler killed himself before we dropped the bomb. Yes.
Okay. So they pretty much people they kind of said in the movie that the bomb was kind of irrelevant now because they're like, Hitler's gone. They
Mm-hmm.
lost. But I've been trying to figure out in videos how Japan became such like a major threat. How do
They
we
were so Japan, Germany, I think Italy, right? There was a few. It was a whole world war, and Japan was a major threat. Obviously, they
Yeah, I heard they
bombed.
did atrocities in China. They were trying
Yeah,
to really like take over the entire Pacific.
yeah, and they bombed Pearl Harbor.
They did bomb Pearl Harbor, but even okay, so after Hitler died, that's when they bombed Pearl Harbor.
No,
I think so. I think it was.
because when did Hitler die? Because Pearl Harbor was 1941. I want to say
Let me see. When did?
Hitler died in 40. He died in 45. Pearl Harbor was attacked because we wasn't even in the war before Pearl Harbor. Pearl
Okay,
Harbor
yeah.
was December 7th, 1941. So we weren't even in the war until before that. So Pearl
Hold on,
Harbor
hold on.
happened.
And that's what got us in right because we were neutral.
We were neutral. Yeah, we were minding our business.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm still trying to figure out what Japan was trying to gain because they were just so relentless. Like
They were trying to take over the world, like the same thing with Germany. They were trying. The goal was to take over the world, right? And they probably would. They probably would have did it.
it's
you
just
know.
it's just crazy. It's just crazy because like well, speaking of Pearl Harbor, I heard that there was this man who was he was an ambassador in Japan during all the tension and everything, and he overheard that Japan was gonna bomb Pearl Harbor. And he
Mm-hmm.
sent a wire straight to the US, but they didn't do
Yep.
anything about it. They said, no, that's not plausible. If they were going to
Yep.
attack, they would have attacked, where is it, in the Philippines
Yeah.
and somewhere else where the states had
They,
like a
a
footing.
warning. Yeah, they said that they had a. I remember
And
we
that was the
went to the Pearl
first
Harbor
warning. There were
Museum.
multiple warnings
Multiple
afterwards.
warnings. Yeah, even they saw the buggies and they thought, oh, that must be birds. They can't possibly be
Mm.
130 something planes coming up to attack us, and then they attacked them.
And the thing about it, there was this one man. I don't know what he did, but I think that was the one who disregarded the planes and thought it was like you said, what you
Mm-hmm.
just said. I think it
Yeah.
was two of them who did that. And literally, the government placed the blame on them this entire time. And they would not exonerate them for this. Like, Biden didn't do it, Obama didn't do it, Trump didn't do it. Like, none of the presidents do it. They're still seen as the two people responsible for not warning people about the Pearl Harbor bombings, even though they knew about it. They said like 11 months before it even happened. The
Mm.
I think the ambassador in Japan send that wire to the president.
Mm.
So it's literally crazy. But
No, I agree.
not to
I
get,
agree.
when I think about like the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it's like I understand that like after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, America's wanted blood, you know. But I see a few arguments that kind of were brought up about what we could have done instead. And one of them I heard, I think was kind of a good idea. Maybe having like a demonstration bomb dropped on an uninhibited island to really show the Japanese the power that we possessed. Because a lot of people were saying that, okay, yes, we gave Japan a warning about this huge, all-consuming, apocalyptic power that we
They
have,
they
but they
drop
didn't know, huh?
they drop like little like pamphlets or so. They gave them out. Like they dropped them from the sky, warning people to evacuate the cities before they dropped it.
But I think even before,
Even before that, they also told people too. Yep.
but they were saying that they didn't think that was an adequate enough warning because people they had no real concept of what an atomic bomb was.
I know, but also this is it's war,
It's
so
war,
we're not gonna you know what I mean. It's war,
and
and war is
that's one of the you
it's an
know
ugly thing, you
yeah,
know.
it's war. But they said, yeah, you could have dropped a demonstration bomb on an uninhibited island. They
So
said
only yeah, you keep going. Only thing I would say against that, right, is that um Hiroshima was a demonstration bomb, Mary, and they still didn't surrender,
they still didn't
right?
surrender. 3 days later, that's why I'm like, it's on both sides because I'm like, it killed. I think Hiroshima killed like 70,000 people died immediately from the bomb, and then like
Mm-hmm.
I think like another. Oh, don't give me the line. I think
40 or 50. I got
died.
129,000 afterwards.
Yeah, from
129,000
radiation
from radiation.
you know what I mean. It's just like if you care about your people, why didn't you surrender? Like I understand that they are very prideful people. They'd rather fight than give up like their rights and everything in their home. But it's like all these people died, men, women, and children. But that's another thing too. People always also argue that why would you drop it on a densely populated city as opposed to a military base? Because Pearl Harbor was a military base, wasn't it?
Pearl Harbor was in Hawaii. So it was a military base, but there were a lot of civilians who died. There was a lot of civilians who died in Pearl Harbor. There was a lot of nurses and doctors. It wasn't just only military personnel.
Well,
And we
nurses
weren't
and doctors weren't they military nurses and doctors?
well, meaning like there were people like in the area that weren't a part of the Air Force. That's the equivalent. I work on the Air Force base, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the equivalent like someone go attack, what I mean, the Air Force base I work at. That's not like that's
Yeah.
not war,
Yeah,
you
that is
know?
true. People do live in military bases. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
That is true. Yeah.
that's not war. That's not war at all.
Like they
We
said
weren't even
the
involved at that time period. You know.
yeah, heard that the justification for Hiroshima and Nagasaki was because they had military significance because they had like these what's it called? These like military manufacturing facilities
Hmm.
on the cities. But people are like there were other less populated military factoring facilities on other islands as well that like I said weren't as populated. And they're saying that when we think about the human life toll
Hmm.
compared to the damage that was done on their military supplies, the scales are not balanced at all. Like
Yeah.
it's not proportionate. So it's like
Yeah.
if your main goal was to disrupt the military, y'all didn't do that. It seemed like your goal was just to kill innocent people. You know,
Yeah. It's once again. It's I'll bring it back. It's war,
it's war. Yeah,
right? And essentially the argument that I have always kind of went with and kind of grew up with, right, is that this action stopped the bloodiest war in the history of
indefinitely,
the world.
definitely.
In the
That
history
is
of the
one thing.
world,
It stopped it. It
it
stopped
stopped
it.
it,
Yeah.
right? And it sucks, and like, um,
Literally, I
and
saw.
hopefully never again the anyone has to drop another nuclear weapon. Hopefully never again, right? Never, right?
Do you think the
But
second bomb was overkill? The one on Nagasaki.
I'm not getting into all
Okay.
that. I think I I don't know. Once
All right. You want
again,
to go back talking about the movie?
yeah,
But one
yeah.
thing I was watching this little like I don't know maybe like a documentary and I seen like just like a picture of the bomb and how huge it was, and I'm just like, y'all really dropped this on human beings.
No, it's a devastating power. And when you think about like the human aspect of it, like you said, like they said that like when after they dropped the bomb and they were celebrating, Oppenheimer had flashes, and when the people, he just heard the
Mm.
screams in his
Oh
hair,
my God, when he
and
was
then
with
like
the students and you
when he was
heard
in,
that scream of a woman.
the
Yeah,
scream, and then like they showed one, they said like the heat was so hot that people's like skin would fall off their
yeah. And
bones
you seen the
instead
girl
of
with
their
the skin
bones
just falling off
just
her face.
fall off her
Yeah,
face. You know,
horrific,
it's
horrific.
it's horrific.
Yeah.
You know, like in my opinion, the people who died instantly in the blast zone were the people who didn't suffer. You know, that was like if you're gonna get hit by a bomb, you want to just be out like that.
Quick.
But
Yeah.
people got cancer after that. You
Yeah.
know, it
Yeah.
just horrific, man. And
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job of showing in the movie, at least, how horrific it was. And Oppenheimer, because in the trial, let's focus on the trial right now, because that was a large part.
Oh, that Joan was. My thing is, how is
Hmm.
that possible? How did that even happen? Okay, okay, okay. So
So
the whole trial was about
it wasn't a
renewing.
trial. First
It
off,
wasn't a trial. It wasn't a
it wasn't
trial.
a
But my
trial.
thing is, how can you act like a court of law and give all these ramifications when you're not acting like a court of law? Like you're not giving his lawyer proper documents. You're just slipping things
Hmm.
in there. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And like, it, it,
It
it
was it was it was a witch hunt,
yeah.
right? Basically, Strauss. What happened was, like you said,
Okay,
Strauss
let's
was
talk
embar-
about the whole
this
when
the
yeah
whole
the
Strauss thing. Yep,
humiliation. Yeah,
yep,
yeah. Okay, okay.
yep. So remember we talked about in the beginning of the podcast how Strauss saw the Oppenheimer and Einstein was talking, and he assumed that the scientist was against him,
Mm-hmm.
right? Later on, when they were at the scene, it was a black and white scene. They were sitting at the table, and Strauss recommended using a hydrogen bomb,
So
and
you said
Oppenheimer,
black and white was Strauss's point of view.
yes, was Strauss's point of view. Yes, the more factual point of view, right? Because that's all that stuff, all the conversations I think
It actually
was
happened.
recorded, actually happened. Yes, I think most of the movie actually happened, but they took some more liberties
Mm-hmm.
on Oppenheimer's point of view.
Yeah, well,
But
it makes sense
anyway,
because you're not there. You don't. You got to
yeah,
flesh out the
exactly.
story. Yeah.
Exactly. So with Strauss, when they were sitting at the table and he suggested using the hydrogen bomb, Oppenheimer was like, "No, there's no city big enough to drop a hydrogen bomb on." You know what I mean? And once again, the hydrogen bomb worked by setting off an atomic bomb first, and
Crazy.
then the hydrogen
That's
bomb, right?
yo. That's some crackhead stuff, yo. That's crazy,
It's crazy. All
yo.
right. So
Who thinks of this stuff? Like,
so he was pissed off about that. He was embarrassed, but also there was some other public thing that
yeah, yeah, about isotopes. That's all. It was something about isotopes, and he was saying
yeah,
this a broken bottle can be an isotope. Like he really just kind of shitted on him.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. You know what I mean? He basically said that he didn't that your kung fu sucks, right? Like you don't know what you're talking about science or whatever. Leave the science to the scientists,
your
essentially,
kung
like that,
fu
right?
sucks.
You know what I mean?
Is
Like
that
you
a
know
new
how like
phrase?
I got it from one of my coworkers. Your
All
kung fu
right,
sucks.
never
He
heard of
says
that
it a
before.
lot. You know, but essentially he dissed him in front of people years ago, and this man was so upset. This how petty people are, right?
Yeah.
Years ago, that he was upset and vindictive that he orchestrated a way to get Oppenheimer out of power by taking away his secret clearance, his secret
Okay.
security clearance.
Okay. So there was one point in the movie, right? They said that
Hmm.
one of the people he worked with in the Manhattan Project, one of the scientists at Los Alamos, suggested that they bring some of the information to Russia.
Mm.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah, I think I forgot
And
the
Oppenheimer
guy's name.
did not report it until he made like
Yes.
a passing comment to one of the military men about it.
Yes, yes. One of his friend, the same friend
His
that watched the
friends.
baby,
Yeah.
right? He basically was like, "Yo, Russia's in a war too. You should basically help him out and build the bomb so we could beat Germany." With his communist friend, I forgot. It started with an S. The guy's name, um,
Chevalier.
Chevalier. Yes, yes, him.
That was the
He
dude who
was.
was watching his kid?
That was yeah. He let Chevalier watch his kid when the wife was going crazy that one day when
I
she was
don't think
having.
that was him, was it? Because I thought it was someone
Hmm.
who worked in the Manhattan Project. Chevalier didn't work at the Manhattan
No,
Project, did he?
No, he didn't because he was a communist. But Chevalier was one of his closest friends, his close communist friends. So he is who suggested that he would leak information to Russia, right?
Oh, snaps.
And so yeah, so like I said, I think the security hearing, the secret security hearing, right? Obviously, this dude works on nuclear energy and nuclear programs and nuclear weapons, so he needs a clearance. And if he doesn't have a clearance, he can't make policy. So Strauss wanted to get the man out of power,
Policy like
and
what?
like nuclear policy, what I mean, like how we should use nuclear weapons, how we should use nuclear energy. What I mean, but just basically like when you drop a weapon like that, you need to basically figure out policies to kind of govern how we operate. And yeah, so Strauss was pissed off, and he orchestrated this this witch hunt that took a top interrogator, that Rob guy. um what he said his name was
Roger Robb,
Roger
special
Robb, right?
counsel Roger Robb.
Yes, appointed as special counsel by this guy who was literally like aggressive
Oh, they
and
call it a private hearing.
a
Okay,
private
it's
hearing. Okay.
before a personnel security board concerning Oppenheimer's Q clearance. I don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically they just went and other scientists that Oppenheimer pissed off over the years testified against him. And remember that one guy, he wrote this whole letter how he said that he believes that he's a communist and he support the Russian party, and he gave evidence over and he made all these
Who
accusations.
was the dude? Bohr?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
The only thing I understood, I kind of agreed with was when what's his name, Leslie Groves,
Yep.
when he asked him, he said, if the security measures
Yep.
that are in place today applied back then, would you, still put Oppenheimer in the same position? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I wouldn't. But I did think it was fair. He was like, we didn't have those security measures
Exactly.
beforehand. They kind of threw this project together without enough
Mm-hmm.
forethought, and there's consequences because of that. But that doesn't mean it all falls on Leslie Gross's shoulders, you know what I mean, or all falls on
Yep.
Oppenheimer's shoulders. Like they've never done anything like this before.
Exactly.
But yeah, that special hearing was crazy, and but I do like how Oppenheimer's wife's Kitty went about it. She kept saying to Oppenheimer, "You're not fighting. You're
Yeah.
literally sitting here trying to be a martyr." I guess to
Mm-hmm.
kind of like sort of relieve some of the guilt you feel about the bombings,
Yep.
and
Yep. Yep.
it's you have to fight. So it's like, okay, if this is not a courtroom, and if y'all can do everything y'all want to do that goes against the standard procedures in a courtroom, I can do what I can do too as a witness. I can be a uncooperative witness. I can answer questions with the questions, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like this is not a courtroom. This is not a
Yep.
trial. So if
There's
y'all
not
can
a
do it, I
trial.
can do it too. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So she really came through with her drunk ass.
Yeah, she did. She did. And I think the interesting thing, right, to sum it all up, right, to sum it all up, is that when so he lost, obviously.
Yeah, his clearance was revoked.
His clearance was revoked, the axe was against him or whatever.
And then he like died of lung cancer. I think not too long later. He was a
Not
chain
too long
smoker.
later. Yeah. No, it got him. It basically ruined his it ended his career. It destroyed him,
I
right?
heard that some of the scientists that said in the movie were like working on the railways or something like that, and like another person got exiled. Like a lot of scientists, well, not a lot, but some scientists I heard in my Manhattan Project, they were kind of tossed to the side afterwards too.
Yeah, that's what they said, right? They said, and this is the part that kind of brings it full circle. So when Strauss, he got nominated for a cabinet position. I forget which one. I think Secretary of Commerce, right? He got nominated for a cabinet position, and he needed to get confirmed by Congress. So they had an investigation. They do it for everyone who get confirmed and ask him a bunch of questions. And one of the most damning testimony that he had against him was a testimony about how he treated Oppenheimer and how he basically used him and abused him and set up this special counsel because of a petty, vindictive, like,
It was punitive. It was punitive.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was, right? And because of that, he lost the vote for confirmation 46-49.
Mm.
And what brings it back full circle is that they went back and showed what Oppenheimer said to Einstein. And what Einstein said to Oppenheimer, what the conversation was that they won't respect you, right? That they'll go and um they'll hold you accountable for this act, but then eventually they'll apologize. But they won't apologize for you, they'll apologize for them. And the same people that persecute you is gonna be there to shake your hand.
Mm.
And sure enough, right, when they finally apologized,
Yeah.
it wasn't for him, it was for them.
Yeah.
It was for to make him um the poster child. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
To say, oh yeah, this is our poster child,
Yeah,
and
like,
not
oh, we're so
necessarily.
good, you know what I mean, to make them look good. You know what yeah, I get what you're
Yes.
saying. I get what you're
Right. And
saying.
they said that, like you said, right, the scientists who worked on that project, the government just kind of used them. Thank you.
Use them up.
Now and now go home.
Listen, I remember that one scene. As soon as the bomb was created and tested, and the military came to take it away, Oppenheimer was talking to someone, and he was just telling them, just hey, you need to drop this from a certain height for it to
Mm-hmm.
be effective. And he was like, with all due respect, I think we have it from here. And I literally looked at DQ. I was like, the nerve. I'm
The
the one who
nerve.
built this thing, and you had to tell me
Mm-hmm.
we got it from here. Do you even know what you're doing? I know the military is capable. There's a lot of incredible minds, but I'm not fucking Oppenheimer. Like, I'm the one who made this, and y'all
No, you're
literally
right.
like it's your hubris. It's
Yeah.
yeah. It
No,
but
you're
it
right.
we used you, and we don't need you anymore. So now we're gonna, the security problems, clearances wasn't a problem, but now it is. You know what I mean? Because you got the job done, so now we're coming for
Yep.
you.
Yep.
It's just a lot.
Yep.
And Truman was a
Oh yeah.
cold one.
He was. He was. And that was a true story. When Oppenheimer
Yeah.
he went to Truman, encouraging him not to build or use a hydrogen bomb.
Mm.
And he said that I feel like I have
Blood
blood
on my
on my
hands
hands. And Truman famously gave him a napkin, like a handkerchief or
to wipe it
whatever,
off.
to wipe it off and says,
Mm.
I have more blood on my hands than you because I decided to drop it.
He was like, "Do you
They
think
called
anyone cares about who created it? They cared about who dropped it. Now get this crybaby
exactly.
off my office."
Yes, and he really called him. He said never would let him in office again. He's a cranberry scientist.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. No,
Jeez,
I
jeez,
think
jeez.
overall, right, the movie, it I think they did the hearing a little too long. Right? I think that part was like probably the lion's share of the movie that was kind of confusing a little
You
bit.
know, you're right. After the bomb was tested, the bomb was dropped. I forgot. Oh man, we still have to wrap this hearing plot line
Hmm.
up. And it was long. I was ready to go by that point. But I
Yeah.
do think the hearing was really interesting.
Yeah.
I really like that one scene where Roger Robb was berating Oppenheimer, and you heard the foot drumming that Oppenheimer
Boom,
hears
boom, boom,
before the
boom,
students
boom,
even did
boom.
it in that like mess hall setting.
Hmm.
You heard the foot throbbing, and that kind of like represents his anxiety, and then like the blaring white light, and like
Hmm.
I did like that scene because originally I did think that we were going to see what happens in Japan.
Oh, thank God they did not show that.
Thank God, thank God.
Thank God they did not show
It's
that,
we
man.
got a glimpse of it, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? They did it in a way that was kind of.
It was
I,
just they dropped the bomb, and that was it. In my opinion, the movie was about the making of the bomb
mm-hmm,
in the Manhattan Project,
mm-hmm.
not just the not
They
that.
hinted to it a little bit, like you said, when he was in that mess hall with the students, and you saw the girl's skin
Hmm.
peeling off, and then the
Yeah.
ashen corpse, like we saw that, but yeah, they didn't go into detail. And first, I was like, I would like to see it, but I am kind of glad they didn't do it because we've seen it before, and there's probably other movies who do it. They take a little more time with it, and like you said, that
Yeah.
wasn't the main story.
No.
But I did like the hearing because, like I said, I was like, yo, the frustration of Oppenheimer's lawyer. I felt it.
Yeah.
Like they hear entering documents that this lawyer has never seen before.
Yep. It's
They
like, oh,
give
it's
him
cleared.
no
You can't see
time,
it.
huh?
Hmm. He was like, yeah, that's classified. You can't see it.
They give him no time to go over it, and then they have
Hmm.
them read it. So enter it to the record, but you have no time to go over it, and it's just like y'all are
Just damning
slimy,
information.
damning
Yeah.
information. Like first as soon as he saw it, he was like, this. Oh, but we've already seen it, but I haven't seen it, but it's already in the record. Like
Yeah.
it's
So just
yeah,
just read it to put in it. Yeah, it was the whole thing.
yeah,
It was slimy. And I
yeah.
think karma was made Strauss not be able to get what he had to get. that made him not get confirmed, rather,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I think that was karma, and it's a little justice, I guess, from at least from Oppenheimer's standpoint, in a way that he didn't get confirmed because of his pettiness.
Mm. Yeah.
So, um, wrapping it up, right? What'd you rank the movie?
Honestly, I'm very surprised, but I would get Oppenheimer a large bag of popcorn.
Mm.
I would. It's like I said, the early life of Oppenheimer, I didn't enjoy because, like I said, those little cuts into his brain and how he saw quantum mechanics. I didn't give it. I don't care. Like
The
that
nerd in
was
me liked that. The nerd in me liked that a lot.
it was just colors to me. It was just colors to me, and just
Yeah.
it was like a weird. I felt like the pacing for that whole opening, it was kind of jarring because it just started off and then like it, you just started off with his early life with not too much of like a precursor to what's happening. So you just kind of see a
Mm-hmm.
man in his thoughts doing weird stuff and like
Yes.
not being
Yeah. Yeah.
liked by anyone. The story didn't really pick up to maybe like, I would say maybe like 12 minutes in. That's
Yeah.
when
No, I
like,
agree.
okay, I understand. And I didn't like that. But when the story picked up, I was interested. And I realized, I like watching things that sometimes I don't fully understand all the language because it makes me feel like I'm learning something.
Yeah, I
Like even
agree.
something, I remember we were watching me and DQ were watching Donnie Brasco with Johnny Depp.
Mm-mm.
It's called Donnie Brasco, right? It's not old. It may be like a gangster movie that came out in the 90s, but pretty
Okay.
much I liked watching it because there's just like New York mobster lingo. Sometimes I don't understand it. I don't understand what they're talking about, but hearing them talking this way, it's just interesting. I don't know how to explain it. It's just interesting. It's like,
One of the commentaries that I was listening to in preparation for this episode said that they did not overly explain a lot of the jargon with the technical jargon. When the scientists was talking to each other,
mm,
and they were talking about their calculations and they were talking about all the physics and the quantum stuff and everything,
yeah,
they didn't overly explain it. And they said that most people sitting there may not have understood
mm,
it. And like I said, I struggled to understand at least a little bit of it, even though, like I said, it's just something that I personally am really interested in.
mm,
Right? Just I'm not a physicist, right? I'm an engineer, so
mm.
it's a little more theoretical. But like,
Hold on, you said physics is more theoretical than what you do, or engineering is more theoretical?
no, physics is absolutely more theoretical.
Okay,
Engineering is applied physics, essentially.
okay.
Like we taking the foundations, those fundamentals, and applying it to building something or making something or designing something. Physics is
With a
just like,
name like physics, I'm thinking physical, so I'm thinking it's more than just uh,
no,
theoretical.
physics is the science of how matter and basically how matter interacts in our world.
So an object
Just
in
the
motion will
interaction.
stay in motion unless.
Yes,
Okay, okay,
right, right. That's one of Newton's law. Yes,
okay.
Newton's laws of
See, I
motion.
remember
Exactly.
ninth grade a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
But
Okay.
yeah, I would give it a large bag of popcorn because, like I said, even though I didn't understand everything that was happening, I felt like sometimes like I do just kind of like hearing jargon that sounds smart. I don't know what it
Mm-hmm.
is. Like I don't know what it is. And the movie, it looked very good. The movie was gorgeous. Like it
It
had a
was.
sort of like moody quality to it, but also there'll be shots that were just like very beautiful, like New Mexico, or them just riding horses in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Like I said, I liked um kind of the way, like I said, how like you heard that pounding of feet in Oppenheimer's
Mm-hmm.
head before the bomb went off. So it was kind of like a
Yeah.
premonition. When you explained the whole black and white thing, because we couldn't understand the timelines. When you explained that, I like that too.
Yeah.
Um, Josh Peck was there. Shout out to my man Josh.
For real, Drake and Josh, I saw him too.
I was like, y'all have a lot of like big name actors and they have very small roles. I'm like, do y'all have a whole lot of money? Like, how much money
Yeah.
do you have?
They said apparently the whole budget was 100 million, which is not that crazy
Yeah,
for a movie that size of that magnitude.
yeah.
And actually, I agree with you. I would give it a large bag of popcorn as well. I think this movie, you know how some movies is kind of like obviously going for the Oscar.
Okay.
I think this movie is going to be nominated in a lot of different categories, right? And I think because of the things you said about the cast, about the sound quality, about the picture quality,
Like I was
about
literally on the. I was surprised. I was like, on during testing, I was on the edge of my seat when he
yeah,
when he said to Josh Peck's character, push this button, don't let the meter go past 1 point. I found myself biting my nails. I was like, man, relax. Like,
yeah, no,
yeah,
it's true, right? It's true, and I think that um is the movie wasn't for everyone. Some people might have got bored by it. Like Aline, she fell asleep.
I could totally get how people are bored by it. You have to be.
Right.
Maybe if I would have if it wasn't for this podcast, I probably would have been like if I was just watching it, I probably would have been like, oh my god. But
Yeah.
because I committed myself to being involved in it, that's probably why I got more out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once again, for me, I love science and I
Yeah.
love history, especially World War II.
Yeah.
So this was just like me and we. I watched it also with our friend Beverly. We were
Oh, you
sitting at the
watched
edge
it
of the seat.
twice?
No, no, no. Me, Aline, and
Oh, I'm
Beverly,
about to
we
say
all
you
went
watched
on
a 3 hour movie twice?
no, I don't got all that time, right? But we were basically on the edge of our seat the whole time,
Yeah.
just watching it and trying to figure out like everything they
Why
were
Eileen
talking
is in the
about.
edge of consciousness. Knocked out.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. I think that wraps it up unless you have anything else.
Ski.
Ski.
Yeah, I have
Right.
nothing else to say.
Awesome. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of the Watch That John podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Watch That John. We also are starting to post our episodes weekly, starting on Thursdays. So
Yay.
be on the lookout for the episodes we recorded. We recorded this is our ninth episode so far.
Look
So
at
we go
us getting her
so
done.
getting it done, right? So we gonna drop this episode next. And after that, we're gonna basically drop it randomly, right?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, RSS, and anywhere else you can find podcasts. So follow us on Instagram and DM us if you have any questions or preferences. So thank you everyone, and thanks for listening.
Bye.